Hello everyone, hope you're having a very good day. My name is Shimrai, welcome to the Den of Shimrai. We're going to go over a little bit of a draft analysis video today for the WPF's Defense Division draft analysis. Now this is a league which you may have heard of. It's one of the biggest leagues in the draft community. It's a full league full of exceptionally good people, and this is my first singles season in the WPF. For this roster, I wanted a few things. There was one mod I wanted to try, which I got pick one. I was actually first pick. So I got to try it, and I wanted to build a very aggressive team. I wanted to build a team centered around a few very resolute pivots, and then a lot of options to dealing a lot of heavy offense, a lot of bulky offense, and some fast offense, a lot of cleaning potential. And so for the first mon I wanted for this strong team, I wanted Zamazenta Crowned. Now, Zamazenta Crowned, or Tadakatsu as it'll be known, is a horrifyingly threatening Pokemon. It's ban-worthy in the eyes of a lot of people, but it needs a lot of good team support, and team support I've tried to give it. Steel Fighting is an interesting typing, to say the least. It's got a lot of good traits, like being a fighting type that can hit Fairy type super effectively. And it is a steel, which is obviously great, but it's a steel that doesn't resist Fairy or Psychic. So it does have a lot of problems in that regard. But for the most part, it is a very, very strong contender. It is, of course, very fast, deceptively fast. 128 is very, very good, outspeeding the likes of Greninja, which is already considered pretty quick. It's only a little bit slower than Tapu Koko. But unlike Greninja and Koko, of course, it has this brilliant defenses coupled with Dauntless Shield, which means it's just utterly unbreakable on the physical side, but then, for anything that does not have a stab, it's super effective attack. 130 attack is pretty good, even if it can't be boosted with an item. I expect good things out of Zamazenta this season. I'm really hoping to get a lot out of it. The main partner I wanted for Zamazenta was Clefable, because Clefable has loads of things which Zamazenta loves. It's status immune. It's a Wish Passer, most importantly. It's a Cleric, and it is a Fairy, which is nice to have on their draft anyway. And it's got an Aware too, so if your Zamazenta is getting set up on by something that can, for some reason, able to do that, Clefable can stand in its way. I did not get Clefable, it got sniped from me, as did Deoxys Speed, which almost got back to me, which I thought would have been brilliant with Zamazenta. So in the end, I went with a slightly different kind of pick. I was the wheel. I was pick one, as I said. So the next two picks I'm going to do at once. So I went for Zygarde and for Tapu Lele. Now, Zygarde is a pretty bulky mob. I think it goes without saying. And it's got a lot of setup options. The two ones that we care about are Dragon Dance and a Coil. I'm not going to be running Dragon Dance every week. I'm not going to be running Coil every week. The important thing is that Zygarde can both be a fast cleaner, I should say, and a breaker. This will allow me to have more flexibility with Zamazenta, depending on the matchup. Some Zamazenta weeks I'm going to want to self-howl, other weeks I'm going to want it to be able to clean up. It depends on the opposition's team, and Zygarde gives it a little bit of flexibility. They do share a couple of problems, bulky grasses being one, Tangrowth jumps to mind as being a good check to both. But that being said, Zygarde is a very, very, very good Pokemon to have on the team. Tapu Lele is the other one. I wanted a special breaker, definitely. And Tapu Lele gives me a few interesting options in conjunction with Zygarde. It does block Zygarde's extreme speed, but it also blocks incoming Ice Shard, which means it can't be revenge killed by its Pokemon in Mamoswine, which is really, really, really good for it. Lele, of course, is a very good special breaker. It doesn't have a lot of problems with getting into the field. Zygarde and Zamazenta are easier still. So although none of these have pivoting moves, I think this is not yet a problem. It can be a special sweep with Calm Mind as well. It has Aromatherapy, I believe, for a sort of backup option. So I really, really like Tapu Lele. I would have preferred Clefable, if I'm being honest. But Tapu Lele I'm liking. Kibo and Mrs. Meggins are the names I've gone with. But if you have name suggestions, drop them in the comments. I'd love to see them. So after these, I've not really paid any attention to defense at this point. And so I've got a few types which absolutely ransack me. Fire's a problem, ice is a problem, we don't resist water yet, ghost is a problem, and there's a lot going on there which I've not really addressed. Fairy is also an issue. And to address a lot of those all in one go, I went my next two picks, which was Rotom Heat Mittens and Bretta the Chansey. Rotom Heat especially has tons of really useful resistances. Like I just said, the ice, the fairy, the ground, the fire, resists all of them. On top of that, it's removal, because spikes is a big problem for this team so far. And it is a pivot. Chansey is also a pivot, and between them, I expect they're going to spend a lot of time on the field. Chansey serves as a ghost type stopgap. It's not a stopgap to all ghosts, and particularly against Pokemon like Gengar and Blacephalon, which are the two ghosts I'm most concerned about with this team. It is not very good because it can get Trick to Scarf. It's sub, Calm Mind, and Nasty Plot Bait. So I'm going to have to look at that a little bit. But that is addressed later on. Chansey I'm not worried about knockoff because of Zamazenta. And although I would have preferred Blissey, a funny story, I kind of sniped myself. I took Chansey because I thought Blissey had been taken by somebody else and it actually hadn't. Blissey was then taken later on, and I lost out on my Blissey and I got Chansey instead. But I'm confident Chansey will be just fine, because I've got one of the best Resolute Chansey partners in the game alongside it, and that is Mega Slowbro. And I've also got Spectria as well. I've no idea how Spectria got back to me, but anyway, Mega Slowbro and Chansey is one of the most dominant duos in terms of walling the most possible Pokemon in the game I can think of. Mega Slowbro on its own walls just about any physical attacker without setup, barring a Shifu single strike, which is a bit of a problem for this team, and I'll talk about that a little bit as I go on. The reason why I'm not worried about Spectria is because I've got Spectria. Spectria alongside Zamazenta is crazy good because Spectria forces my opponents to bring their specially defensive Darks and Normal types, which Zamazenta will feast on. We'll get free switch-ins on, and it will be a free substitute, which is absolutely brilliant. Slowbro in and of itself is a water resist, which we didn't have up to this point. A fighting resist, which is also very good because Lele doesn't want to switch into knockoffs. And is a pivot with teleport. It's a physical tank beyond all other physical tanks. It's a setup threat with Calm Mind. And as I say, it'll sponge any physical hit. Part of the reason I did go for Mega Slowbro is because there was another team in this league, with a very scary looking sound team, with Shifu, Rapid, and Excadrill. And up to this point, that absolutely demolished me. But with Slowbro, we've got a lot more going on to help deal with that. Spectria, I'm expecting to come quite a bit. This first 7 is going to be the Pokemon that are coming basic every week. I don't expect to be any of these to get less than 5 appearances. I'd be very surprised if any of them do. Spectra on its own is a Pokemon that demands prep, it demands attention. I like it because it's got very different checks and counters to Tapu Lele. So it might even demand 2 special walls from my opponent, which is something that Zamazenta and Zygarde are going to love. It spreads status, it sets up, it does so many good things. And so, yeah, I'm very, very happy with Spectra. Boris and Banshee are here on the roster. After this point, I was thinking about filling gaps. Filling gaps is the main priority for me at this point. I wanted to get at least 2, maybe 3 more picks. And I mentioned Urshifu was a really big problem. If you've noticed, hazard removal and even setting is a really big problem. And Ghost and Dark is a little bit of a problem. The Ghosts are a problem. Now, for the next couple of picks, I went with Bishop and I went with Togetic. Gyoshin and Philadelphia. Bishop is a rocker. It won't run rocks most of the time, but it is a great ghost resist for a lot of ghost types. It is one of the better checks to Dragapult out there, which is really, really good. It is gimped a bit by Tapu Lele's Psychic Terrain, but I don't think that'll be too much of a problem, because I don't expect it will come too much. It is a Pokemon which I'm quite excited to use. I actually really like using Bishop, and so I'm hoping for good things from it. But we shall see. Togetic is a dedicated Urshifu counter. That is the main reason I took it. The reason I didn't take something like Shelmet, which is another viable Urshifu counter, believe it or not, is the defog. I wanted the defog, I wanted the recovery, and it has that. The only way that Urshifu is going to break through it is if it correctly reads the banded iron heads well, and if it or if it has rocks up. If it reads the banded iron head, I can easily go into Slowbro, and I can start Calm Minding, because even still, Urshifu doesn't always 2-hit Mega Slowbro, a physical defensive Mega Slowbro with a choice band Wicked Blow, which is honestly incredible. But yeah, I'm going to have to be very careful with my hazards, because hazards easily push Togetic in range of Urshifu. But it is the best solution I get for its price that also packs the defog. It's another fairy, because Lele doesn't resist. Lele isn't a particularly defensive fairy, I should say. It's a cleric, it does get the wish, so it does have a few things going on. And for the final pick, I've decided to go for Lurantis. Lurantis for a few reasons. It's a grass type, which I really liked for this team at this stage, mainly because of things like that water resistance and electric resistance is really nice for this team. It has the defog, which I've tried to force in a little bit on at the end. It's mostly going to be Rotom Heat, unfortunately, but the options are there if I do feel the need to run an offensive Rotom Heat. It is reliable recovery and synthesis. It is very, very reasonable. 70, 90, 90 is honestly not bad. Even if its typing is pretty bad. But I'm hoping I'll be able to rely on Lurantis to do some good work when it's called upon. And that is the roster. Now, not a perfect roster, but I really, really like it. The main problems that I'm seeing with the roster are the speed gap. My speed tiers aren't perfect. There's a gap between 95 and 128 between Zygarde and Zamazenta Crowned. It is the perfect sort of space for like Tornadus to be able to run Modest, which does kind of suck. Honest, Tornadus does give this roster some problems. But I have a Rotom Heat, which hopefully will be enough to deal with it. The other one is very poor hazard game. My hazard game is useless, to be quite honest. Chansey is my only rocker, Chansey and Bishop, I should say, and my removal is Rotom Heat, Lurantis, and Togetic, which is not what you want to see at all. A little bit of ghost type problem, but the two ghost types I'm concerned about, which are Gengar and Blacephalon. Gengar I should hopefully be able to deal with some sort of Rotom Heat set, and Blacephalon won't be doing any sweeping with Zygarde around, which is kind of what I'm hoping to accomplish. But we will see. We will see. The final thing is a lack of offensive pivots. I am definitely lacking offensive pivots. Zamazenta, Zygarde, Spectria, and Lele, none of them can pivot as well at all. Slowbro, Rotom, and Chansey, of course, can, but it's a little bit, not ideal, that situation. But there are a lot of fantastic things. I think the roster is going to be incredibly hard to build against. Very, very hard to wall. I should be getting a lot of aggressive wins, hopefully, some high excitement wins to go up on the channel. But with that said, this is your Brighton Hove Ampon WPF Season 11 lineup. The first match will go out at some point in the coming week, I would expect. And so, I would ask if you would like to see these games, if you want to stick around, then please subscribe and give it a like. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you guys another day. Have a good one.